I'm Phelelani Nzuza. I'm the Archbishop of the Church of the Holy Ghost. I grew up in Hammarsdale, which is between Durban and Pietermaritzburg. I was raised by my grandparents, my paternal grandparents. We grew up in a mission setup where there was a central church and other families that lived in the area. My grandfather was the Archbishop of the church at the time, and he obviously then looked after the mission setup. My grandfather was a very proud Zulu man, and in the Zulu culture, as it is in the broader African culture, male children, and particularly firstborn male children, are prized and treasured in the family. And he named me Given Son because in his heart he proclaimed that we have been given a son. I think my name stands for the pride of the family, the legacy of the family, and the continuity in the family. I'm very proud of it, the fact that my grandfather celebrated my birth in that way and felt that it was a gift to the family, a gift to the broader Nzuza clan. It is something that I feel I carry for years beyond even his life. My second name is Phelelani, and Phelelani, he named me, it is a biblical name that comes from a verse in the Bible that says, ngesiZulu it says, Phelelani ngoba uyihlo wenu esezulwini uphelele, which means be perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. So there's a lot of spirituality and there's a lot of expectation behind how I was named, and I think there's a lot of intent in how he named me and gave me these names. And these inform how I live and how I am conscious on a daily basis of the responsibility bestowed upon me as the son in the family. One of the things that is quite special in my family is that my great-grandfather, who was born on the 4th of July in 1896, became the first Christian in our family. He decided at a very young age that he would pursue the religious route and particularly the Christian faith. And that stands out as one of the most important gifts that I've ever received in my life, because not only did he give me a gift of legacy, he gave me the gift of faith. So growing up in our church and in my family, there was never a conversation about church leadership and succession and a lingering discourse and narrative, if you like, about what happens when the incumbent leader and archbishop passes on. And when my grandfather made a decision in 1993 to move me away from home and place me under a care of a guardian by the name of Deacon Gwala, I think it started creating a shift and expectation in terms of what would come next. At the time, nobody knew that he was preparing for the end of his time, which happened 2 years after he made that decision. But at that time, I think when he made that decision to take me away from home and place me under a care of somebody else, it started the process of succession planning. I was not aware, but when I had the experience on the 10th of July, 1999, it was a moment that felt like an out-of-body experience. However, what I do remember is that at a deeper conscious level and spiritual level, if you like, there was a knowing that this moment was right. And so I didn't get a sense of pushing it back or denying it or resisting it. So much as it was a shock, it felt spiritually right and spiritually natural that the time had come. From day one, the biggest gift that I received from leaders that I served with, and particularly elders in the church, was great support, great respect, great reception and welcoming. And that made it easy for me to assume the leadership role even though I was young. My languaging to the people was, this is our church, and we are all leaders in terms of how it ought to be and it ought to be shaped going forward. I have managed to break the mold in the church and allowed the church to be more open-minded, allowed the church to be more externally focused as opposed to be inward, which is what I think a lot of people have appreciated over the years. So as we enter the month of July, which in the church is celebrated as a month on which I was ordained, and as a month which celebrates my leadership journey and all the events that have happened in the church surrounding leadership, I want to use this time to reflect on my leadership lessons, and particularly the nuggets that I have taken out of the 21 years in leadership. And the 5 weeks in July, I'll be spending time reflecting on grace and what does grace mean for me. And how I personally define grace is that mercy of God, that act of God, that intervention of God that is undeserved. Something that takes us from a place of vulnerability, a place of limitation, and a place of human weakness, and places us into a place of strength and a place of abundance and a place of being led by God. And I'm using grace as an acronym to define the 5 key lessons that I've learned, with G standing for gift and the gift of leadership and some of the gifts that I have received. And R stands for renewal and the importance of leading renewal as a leader, particularly in the context of church, with A being about accountability and the importance of accountability in leadership. How do we hold ourselves accountable, and how does the church hold leaders accountable? And C being about compassion and the importance of being a compassionate leader when you are leading people, particularly in the context of the challenges that a lot of people are faced with today. And lastly, E being about existence and eternity, the consciousness of why do we exist as Christians and why does the church exist, and most importantly, how we long for eternity, and that being the ultimate goal of our spirituality.
Usande qinile dithi hlala uhlise duze kwami ndiyabonga ngoba hlala uhlise duze kwami.